There are growing fears in the West that Ukraine is losing its war with Russia and that Vladimir Putin may decide to invade Eastern Europe in the coming years. According to the Times, military leaders believe that Britain must be prepared for conflict in 2027. Thus, General Sir James Everard, who served as Deputy Supreme Allied Commander Europe, believes that if Russia starts a war with NATO, Putin would be wise to strike by 2027, before NATO has time to strengthen its defenses. Everard said armies must be able to maintain fighting power, adding, "We know that small armies are destroyed in the early stages of a conflict." At the same time, Britain's Minister for Veterans Affairs, Alistair Carnes, warned that the entire British army would be destroyed within a year if it were drawn into a major conflict with an adversary such as Russia. In a large-scale war, not a limited intervention, but similar to the war in Ukraine, our army, for example, with the current loss rates, will be exhausted within 6 months or a year, he noted. At the same time, the head of the British Armed Forces, Admiral Tony Radakin, speaking at an annual lecture at the Royal United Services Institute, warned of the threat of nuclear war. He noted that the world is now at the dawn of a third nuclear era, and the prospects for the future are more controversial, more ambiguous, and more dangerous than before, with no safety in sight. Former Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Valery Zaluzhny, previously stated that the West is not ready for a large-scale war with Russia. In his opinion, the Russians will be able to exhaust the European air defense system in just 2 to 3 months. The media also wrote that Europe had lost time in preparing for war with Russia, which was given to it by the heroic resistance of the Ukrainians. The Times columnist Edward Lucas notes that Europe is scandalously poorly prepared for a possible Russian invasion, and Putin knows it. As the analyst notes, Russia is already attacking the West, committing acts of sabotage. At the same time, as the editor of the Defense Analysis magazine, Francis Tusa, notes, many incidents are hushed up by officials and the relevant companies, which leads to even more chaos. At the same time, some European countries see a threat from Russia and are actively preparing for war, the article notes. For example, Finland has accumulated 6 months' reserves of food, fuel and medicine, as well as space in bomb shelters for each resident. Estonia spends a quarter of its defense budget on ammunition alone. Poland has the largest and most effective armed forces in Europe. However, it is quite possible that they will have to fight alone. Lucas notes, Ukrainians are now paying the price for the West's indecisiveness, but a defeated Ukraine would be a gigantic problem for all of Europe, the article says.
Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha and Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski walked out of the room during the speech by their Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov at the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe ministerial meeting in Malta on Thursday. Lavrov was in Malta for the annual meeting of the OSCE in his first visit to a European Union nation since Russia's invasion of Ukraine nearly 3 years ago. Sybiha, Sikorsky and other officials got up and left the room when Lavrov's speech began. It has been relatively rare for Lavrov to attend forums involving senior Western officials, although he recently took part in the United Nations General Assembly and the G20 summit in Brazil.